the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water and let go. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Ride with the flow. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. It's alright. Let go. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Ride. We enjoy the ride. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. It's alright. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Drop the oars in the water. Drop the oars in the water. Ride. Drop your oars in the water. Enjoy the flight. Enjoy the ride.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. All that I'm saying is, command my hands. What must they do? Command my life. It's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. And God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light as you so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Good morning. What a good-looking group this morning. Hey, my name is Ken McClellan, and it's my honor and privilege this morning to welcome you in the warm and loving spirit of Unity of Bellevue and to get things rolling this morning. Here at Unity of Bellevue, our mission is to awaken people to their spiritual nature and to transform the world. And we invite you all to be a part of making that vision a reality. We hold as truth that every one of us has within our being a spark of the divine that connects us all to Source and to each other. We see the Christ Spirit present in you. In that knowing, we honor and respect the many names of God, the many and diverse paths to God, and the many ways to worship God. Whether I see your glorious persons here in the sanctuary this morning, and you are looking glorious, or know that you are with us via online connection. And wherever you are in life's journey, know that you are exactly in the right place, right here and right now. We're delighted to have you. We're blessed by your presence, and we celebrate our inherent oneness. So if you're a regular here, welcome home. If you're a visitor or just checking us out, we sincerely hope that you find or hear something here this morning that touches your soul, and we invite you to consider making this your spiritual home. We'd love to have you as part of our family. While our own Reverend Denise is continuing to enjoy a well-deserved time of rest, relaxation, and renewal in Mexico, we have today a very special guest speaker in Imam Jamal Rahman. Jamal's been a longtime friend of Unity of Bellevue, enlightening us with insight into principles of Islam, Sufi spirituality, and interfaith relations, and always with wonderful stories and his great sense of humor. He's well known as part of a group known as the Interfaith Amigos, which also include our friend Rabbi Ted Falcon, who we also know very well, and Pastor Don McKenzie. His very timely talk today is on the spiritual significance of Ramadan. Joining us this morning on piano and in song is an artist whose stated intention is to write and perform songs that remind us that our stories are important and our lives are meaningful. Cindy Akana. We're thankful to have benefited from her songs and talent several times in the recent years. We welcome Cindy back. Cindy, it's great to have you again. Other members of our home team today include meditation facilitator and prayer chaplain, our Susan Neidig. Our board host is Dorothy Bostetter, here with us live this morning from her otherwise home in Texas, and of course our wonderful song leader, Jamie Sassi. Before we move on, just give you a little update about our friend Paul Roof. I mean, you all know that Paul fell and broke his hip a few weeks ago. Paul's made some really great progress in his physical therapy and rehab at Pacific Regents this last week, to the point where he is actually going to be able to go home on Monday. I see Ellen just walked in, so Ellen has their house all in readiness for him to come home, so he'll be at home. I'm not sure, it's still a long road and it's still a process, so I'm not sure when we'll be able to see him physically here, but it's nice to know that he is mobile now and able to get around. With that, let's get this celebration started this morning with our community song with Cindy Akana and Jamie Sassy.
Good morning, everybody. Please stand and join me. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning around and around. My life is moving ever upward. My feet are leaving the ground. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more downward, no more darkness, no more wondering the point of it all. My life is destined, oh, for greatness. My soul has answered the call. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to higher place.
Thank you. Let's pray. We invoke the presence of the Great Spirit, ever with us, ever in us, ever unfolding through us. We allow this great presence to lift us, to center us, to ground us. We enter into the great stillness with a sacred breath within. We breathe in again, expanding our essence with light, with love, with joy to everyone in this room, to everyone who is here with us virtually. We expand to include all beings and the planet, affirming that we see all is in divine order. We hold this vision that all are treated humanely, that all is in balance, that all is in alignment with divine purpose. We know we stand on holy ground, that we are holy. This space is sacred. We are so grateful, and so it is.
I wrote a new sing-along, and you're going to sing along if you'd like to. If I grow what I sow, and I reap what I grow, then carefully I'll choose my seeds. If I grow what I sow, and I reap what I grow, then abundantly I'll harvest what I seek. Let's do that part again. If I grow what I sow, and I reap what I grow, then carefully I'll choose my seeds. If I grow what I sow, and I reap what I grow, then abundantly I'll harvest what I seek. If you want love, love, so love. If you want joy, joy, so joy. If you want kindness, so kindness, until your cup overflows. If I grow what I sow, and I reap what I grow, then carefully I'll choose my seeds. If I grow what I sow, and I reap what I grow, then abundantly I'll harvest what I seek. If you want grace, grace, so grace. If you want hope, hope, so hope. If you want peace on earth, so peace on earth, until your cup overflows. If I grow what I sow, and I reap what I grow, then carefully I'll choose my seeds. If I grow what I sow, and I reap what I grow, then abundantly I'll harvest what I seek. Then abundantly I'll harvest what I seek. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. That was great. Our reading this morning is called Morning Glory by Shalane Harkin. Sometimes it's better to pray with your eyes open, to see the hummingbirds buzzing around like golden snitches in search of morning nectar, or to watch the dawn begin to drape her diaphanous, light-woven shawl over the landscape of your heart and mind. Sometimes it's better to pray with your mouth closed, to give your soul a platform to listen to the seas of beauty pulsing within the silence. Perhaps what I'm saying is that prayer is an invitation to enter the holy bones of your body's sweet temple, and that whatever tongue, whatever movement, whatever way your longing pulls you to connect with the sacred wow that is always sitting deep within your chest. That is holy, and that is prayer. For our statement of faith and affirmation, I'm going to ask you, if you are up to it, to stand as you join in with me. And as we read this, convince me that you mean it, okay? And that goes for you guys online too. There's great power in the spoken word, so I challenge you to say it out loud. Statement of faith: there is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. And our affirmation for today: I see the divine in all that I meet. I serve the divine in all that I do. I perceive the divine in everything. And so it is.
I read he touched the ungodly and defended women in shame in an age when hardly anyone dared. also read he walked on water, but his loving deeds and words say heaven walked on earth. Heaven walked on earth. Buddha taught much about suffering to overcome the power of pain, giving up the family throne for good. And through his life, like Mahatma Gandhi, peace became more than just words I say. Heaven walked on earth. Heaven walked on earth. Yes, heaven walks with every act of kindness, and heaven sees with every thank you and please. And if you do more than wonder how to end our hunger, you walk in heavenly peace. You walk in heavenly peace. Molly serves soup to the homeless. Isai sends money to his mom. Sui helps those who are challenged. Abdi tries to right the wrongs. Heaven walks on earth. Heaven walks on earth. Yes, heaven walks with every act of kindness, and heaven sees with every thank you and please. And if you do more than wonder how to end our hunger, you walk in heavenly peace. You walk in heavenly peace. You walk in heavenly peace. You walk in heavenly peace.
Thank you so much for that beautiful music. It's Monica, right? Ah, okay. Okay, terrific. What's in a name, right? You know, there's a wonderful verse in the Quran that says, every so way you turn is the face of God. Whether it's Monica or somebody else, it's the face of God. So my friends, I'm so delighted to be here. As some of you know, I've been coming here for a long time. Ever since my hair was black, actually. So that is long. I remember the largest crowd we had was just after 9/11. I don't know if you were here, some of you, but this entire place was packed all the way up there. This door had to be opened up, or some door here, because there were people lined up there also. There was such enthusiasm to really somehow break through the polarization and come to know the other on a human level. So today, I'm going to talk about Ramadan, which is a very holy month for Muslims. So let me start by reciting the first chapter of the Quran. And I always say you'll be very happy to know that it's a very short chapter, so don't worry. Okay, but I'd like you to join me. So join me in chanting H-U, who. You know, just like Aum or Om in Islamic mysticism, it's who, and keep on going. Who, give it voice. Who. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم الصراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. And becoming very still and being open to what mystics call to the glow of presence. Okay, my dear friends, I said Ramadan. At one time, nobody knew what Ramadan was, but after 9/11, people have become more aware of what Ramadan is, but it's still confusing, actually. Ramadan has two meanings. Number one, it refers to the month of Ramadan. It's the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. Ramadan also refers to the spiritual practice of self-purification, deep introspection, really aspiring to become, you might say, more Christ-like, Buddha-like, Elohim-like, Allah-like, and being of service to God's creation. That's also the meaning of Ramadan. So Muslims all over the world, close to 2 billion Muslims, all over the world, they are fasting pre-sunrise to sunset. And in that period, they practice self-restraint, want to be a good human being, be charitable, be forgiving. Really wanting to evolve into the fullness of one's being. The question is, why do Muslims go through this period of profound, deep, prolonged, for 1 month, from sunrise to sunset, fasting, praying, serving, attempting to be good? Why do they do that? Because it was in this month of Ramadan that the first verses of the Quran were revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So to express gratitude, thankfulness for the gift of the Quran, they will go through this period of purification, aspiring to be a more developed human being. Now, Quran might not mean much to you, and sadly, there is a lot of false information about the Quran, because there are a lot of websites that are heavily funded that are very Islamophobic. So let me explain to you. Every holy book has 2 kinds of verses. This is critical to know. Whether it's the Bible or the Torah or the Sutras, Eastern traditions, every holy book has 2 kinds of verses. What are they? Particular and universal. Particular verses are in desperate need of historical and textual context. Universal verses are timeless, placeless, filled with wisdom. The problem has been, after 9/11, those who are against Islam, and by the way, many Muslims have contributed to this by their behavior, and they do the same thing. They misuse particular and universal. The problem is, you can take a particular verse from any holy book and promote that as a universal verse. Or, as has been happening since 9/11, many Christian actually websites that are against Islam, because Islam is spreading so fast, they're angry at it. They take a particular verse from the Quran and compare that to a universal verse from the Christian scriptures. So there's something to be very aware of, which is why people get confused. Rumi, you've heard of Rumi. You've heard of Hafiz. You probably have not heard of Rabia. She is the 8th, 9th century female, most beloved female saint in Islam. So all 3 of these people, for example, the ones you know, they're not only scholars of Islam, they love the Quran. So Rumi, for example, Rumi hardly wrote. He would just go into a trance. He would say, I am a slave of the Quran. I am dust on the path of Muhammad. Hafiz, you've heard of Hafiz, 14th century. That's not his real name. His real name is Muhammad Shamsuddin. Why is he called Hafiz? because he loved the Quran so much, he memorized every word in the Quran from beginning to end. And a person in Islam who has memorized the Quran is called what? Hafiz. In fact, it's just like you have here in America, you have American Idol. In the Muslim countries, you have Muslim Idol. People competing to recite the Quran. And whoever's recitation is the best gets becomes the idol, as it were. Competition about how beautifully you can recite the Quran. And the Quran is a sonoral revelation. It's like Shabd yoga. Every sound, the vibration is what really impacts the soul. Is what's, as Rumi says, splashes in the heart. The vibrations, the sound vibrations. And Rabia would spend nights, countless nights, just meditating on the universal verses of the Quran. Okay, so what is this particular event where the first verses of the Quran were transmitted through angel Gabriel to Muhammad? That's called, in the Quran calls it, the night of destiny, or the night of power. We all know it happened in the year 610 after birth of Christ, in the month of Ramadan. On which day we don't know. Some say on the 27th, some say 16th. That's a controversy. But what was the situation? Now you've got to imagine, this is now the Arabian Peninsula in the 7th century. It was called a time of Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah means savagery. Lots of killing among the tribes, no care at all about the poor, rampant slavery, oppression of the slaves, oppression of women particularly. If you're an infant girl born, the chances are you'd be buried alive. Female infanticide was very high. So what is not known in the Western world is that Muhammad as a child was so disturbed by these injustices, oppression, particularly of women, which is why women love Muhammad. The greatest devotees of Muhammad actually are women. What Muhammad would do is he would go into the caves in Mecca to go deep into meditation. What would bring him solace? What would assuage the pain? Because what he saw, what he witnessed, was just going into silence. So this practice continued. And once when he was 40 years old, he was married to a wonderful woman, Khadija, actually 15 years his senior in age. And he was meditating in the cave, and for a retreat for 40 days and nights, something amazing happened. A luminous light, blazing light approached him, and he got very scared. He was shivering. What is this light coming closer to him? It came closer and closer and closer, and it announced itself as Angel Gabriel. I am Angel Gabriel. And he got very scared. And the voice said, Iqra, meaning recite. And he just mumbled some words, I'm illiterate. And he got so scared, he ran down the mountain, ran, all the way. By the way, his wife used to accompany him in the meditation, but this time she was back home. Ran all the way into the arms of his beloved wife, Khadija, and said, I am going crazy, perspiring, trembling. This is what happened. She wrapped him in the blankets and she reassured him, you're the sanest, loveliest man I know. You're absolutely sane. Just rest here, rest. And she ran to where? To Waraka, a blind man, a Christian actually, her distant cousin. Said, Waraka, go into a trance. What do you see? What's happening? To my husband, this happened. And Waraka goes into a trance. Waraka says, let me first tell you, send him back to the cave. He is going to become a prophet. But you've got to send him back. So she ran back, and she somehow convinced Muhammad to go back to the mountain, to the cave. And Muhammad eventually relented, thinking, my hallucination is over. He goes back to the cave, but once again that light, once again that command, Iqra. But this time he feels tremendous pain within him. And then words come out of his mouth. which are seared into his soul. He runs down the mountain, tells his family, they write it down, and this happens for 23 years. Sometimes in answer to a question, sometimes it just happens, but it was never, he said, pleasant. They would say, how do you know this is happening? He would say, I would hear the buzzing of bees, the chiming of bells, and he would say, oh my God, not again, not again. And he'd feel this pain squeezing, and his words would come out, and his family and friends would write them down on the bark of trees, on stones, parchments, and the collection of that is called Quran, which means recitation. And the arrangement of the Quran, they say, is according to the sonoral beauty. It's by hearing it that something happens to you. Now, here's a miracle of Islam. See, in Christianity, what is a miracle? The miracle is Jesus, peace be upon him, is the Son of God. In Islam, the miracle is the Quran. Everybody agrees. Say, for example, scholars of Arabic who don't like Islam at all, but they're experts in the Arabic language, they all agree 100% that there is no body of Arabic literature that comes even remotely close to the beauty, the cadence, the rhythm of the language of the Quran. So that is the miracle of Islam, that here is a book which is unsurpassed in its linguistic beauty, which is why the Quran is, I keep repeating, a sonoral revelation. And a Muslim is asked to hear the vibrations of the words, besides the content of the words also. Okay, so just be with that, which I hope gives you some idea why Muslims are so fond of the Quran, so much in love with the Quran. Okay, now, I'm looking at the time also. I always joke, either I speak faster or cut out some content because time is passing very fast. So, what are some insights from this phenomenon, spiritual event called Night of Destiny or Night of Power, which every Muslim knows has happened? Well, one is, let's be very clear, the Quran has its roots in the womb of silence. It is when the Prophet Muhammad he was not a prophet at that time, he was Muhammad, when he was totally silent, that this amazing event happened. You know, I love Rumi, you know, that, and Rumi, as I said, never wrote, this is a beautiful thing about Rumi, he would go into a trance and words would come out of his mouth. And his companions and family would write them down, and it was beautiful poetry. What does Rumi say about silence? He says, silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of the little self. I repeat, silence is not the absence of sound, it is the absence of the little self. I, me. So just be with that for a few moments. He goes on, silence is the language of God. Everything else is a poor translation. Silence is the language of God. Everything else is a poor translation. He goes on, therefore, Jamal, be silent. Be silent, so that the Lord who gave you language may speak. For as he fashioned a door and a lock, he also made a key. Jamal, be silent, so that the Lord who gave you language may speak. For as she fashioned a door and a lock, she also made a key. Jamal, remember, says Rumi, in silence, the branches of your intelligence grows new leaves. In silence, the branches of your intelligence grows new leaves. Therefore, what a beautiful idea to practice regularly silence. This is in every tradition. And I'm going to speak about those other traditions. I don't think I will, but I'll tell you about Taoism. I love Taoism. In Taoism, they say when you purify yourself, but particularly when you practice silence, when you bide in silence, exact words, when you bide in silence, the spirit of the Tao makes its home in you. Prophet Muhammad had a dream where God says, of course, Quran says Allah is Zahir and Batin, outside of you and inside of you. In a dream, Prophet Muhammad's got this revelation where God says, tell this to humanity. Tell what? God says to each one of us, beloved one, God says, I cannot be contained in the space of the earth. I cannot be contained in the space of the heavens, but I can be contained in the space of the pure, loving heart. Which is why any symbol of Sufism, which is just a mystical aspect of Islam, is not a denomination. The symbol is always a heart with wings. And the heart is mentioned 132 times in the Quran. So just be with that for a few moments. Do I practice silence? Ask yourself. In Buddhism, the Buddha said, whatever your path is, you simply have to practice silence to become enlightened. Okay, another quick point which Muslims also miss about this night of power. It is really also about the critical importance of divine feminine qualities. I mentioned Khadija, remember? If Khadija had not sent Muhammad back to the cave, there'd be no Islam, no Quran. And again, some Muslims even don't even know that a very important chapter in the Quran, non-Muslims are totally unaware of it, is a chapter called Maryam. Chapter 19 in the Quran, it's Mary. And by the way, there's far more about Mary, peace be upon her, in the Quran than all the Christian scriptures put together. She's called the holiest of the holy. And here's a very, very important chapter because, and we have the same story in Islam, Angel Gabriel comes and tells Mary, you'll be with child. She gets very scared because she's not married. But then the Quran says, she suffered birth pangs. Those are important words. She suffered birth pangs. She was forlorn. She was very depressed. And then she wondered what to do, and she felt very shy. The Quran says she retreated to a very secluded place. In that secluded place, there was a date palm tree. Seeing Mary, it came to life and offered her dates. It nourished her. Magically, a stream appeared at her feet, offered her water. It nurtured her. And there she gave birth to Jesus, peace be upon him. Why is this chapter important? Because, number one, we all have to give birth, say the Muslim teachers, every one of us, we have to give birth to our inner Jesus, who's mentioned repeatedly in the Quran, by the way, who's called Ruh Allah, Spirit of God. We all have to give birth to our inner Jesus, but remember this, Jamal said, that mystics, it requires the womb of a Mary to give birth to your inner Jesus, meaning it requires those divine feminine qualities of compassion, patience, forbearance, self-restraint. In fact, the Quran has some beautiful verses. It says, revere Allah, the God of all of humanity. Revere Allah. And always the second line is, and revere the wombs that bore you. Revere Allah and revere the wombs that bore you. Which, by the way, led Rumi to go into a trance. And he comes up with these words. Woman is a ray of God. She is not your earthly beloved. She is creative, not created. Those are very interesting words. Woman is a ray of God. She is not just your earthly beloved. She is creative, not created. You see, a lot of men, they make fun of women. They teased, or they were telling Rabia, the beloved female saint, Rabia, you talk so much about this and that, divine feminine qualities, etc., etc. But no woman has ever been a prophet. The crown of prophethood has never appeared on a woman's head. The belt of nobility has always been around the waist of men, not women. Well, who gave birth to these prophets? That's number one. Number two, Rabia said, this cry of, there's a verse in the Quran where the Pharaoh says, I am your Lord, worship me. This is in the Quran is indication of something which is in every human being, the ego. So the verse in the Quran says, the Pharaoh said, I am your Lord, worship me. And Rabia says, this cry of, this demand of, I am your Lord, worship me, has always sprung from the breasts of men, never women. Be aware of this. And there are many other examples which Muslims need to know about the divine feminine. Let's just be with that, about honoring divine feminine. And just ask yourself, particularly the men I ask here, am I infusing myself also to be balanced with divine feminine qualities, to become a more complete human being? Okay, my friend, another point. Gratitude. I know we all practice gratitude, but this Ramadan time is a special time to really hone yourself, develop the art of being grateful. You see, the problem is, the mystics say, we take all of our blessings for granted until we are in danger of losing them. Whether it's a relationship or something material, until we are in danger of losing it, I don't appreciate what I have. Rumi has this verse, he says, he was 60 years old. For 60 years, I have been forgetful. Oh God, please forgive me. For 60 years, I have been forgetful, but never has your flowing towards me stopped or slowed down. And here's another very important point in Islam, as in all other traditions. It's a world of opposites. The Quran says, it's a world of opposites. The exact words in the Quran is, Allah says, of every created thing, I have created opposites. So you might know only Allah is one. With this, any tradition you study, they will say, long is defined by short, high by low, joy by sorrow. Which is why in Eastern traditions, particularly Buddhism, if you study Buddhism, which by the way is one of my favorite spiritual traditions, the Buddha says, suffering, dissatisfaction, dukkha it's called, is inevitable. I've been teaching a class on this Book of Joy. Anybody read the Book of Joy? By Desmond Tutu, wonderful. Some of you have read it, by Desmond Tutu and Dalai Lama. They all agree, the Christian and the Buddhist, that suffering is inevitable, but the way we respond to suffering, whether it awakens something in us, teaches something within us, or whether it embitters us, is going to define my character, my being, and shape the destiny of my life. whether it empowers me, my suffering, or whether it embitters me, is going to determine, shape my being, and shape the destiny of my life. This is the central message of this book, one of the central messages. Also in Islam. Which is why I love this mullah story. Mullah is a fictional character in Islamic mysticism. Some wonderful insights are conveyed through this fictional character who's always laughing at himself. Not at others, but himself. And encourages us to do that. So a story which I've said here many times, and by the way, every mullah story has many levels of meaning. The mullah, if you remember, has lost his donkey. Big deal in that part of the world, my source of livelihood, my friend. So the entire village tries to find the donkey. Morning till evening, the donkey is lost forever. They come in the evening to give mullah the bad news. Where's the mullah? In the town square on his knees saying, Allah, thank you, Allah, I'm so grateful. Allah, thank you, I'm so grateful. Mullah, you haven't heard the bad news. Your donkey is lost forever. Mullah says, I know, but I'm so grateful because imagine what could have happened to me if I was on the donkey. This is about, even in times of affliction, difficulties, problems, if I continue to give thanks for something in my life, I'm giving thanks for unknown blessings already on their way. This is the great secret. Great secret. And the great mystics say, don't run towards difficulties, sorrows, because it has lessons to teach you. Just don't run away from it. Okay, just be with that. Am I grateful in my life? Particularly in times of difficulties, which I repeat, are bound to happen. Ramadan is a time also of developing empathy. I might talk beautiful things, quote Rumi, how much I care for the poor, how much you should care for the poor, about the homeless, this and that. But I'm talking from what is called a knowledge of the tongue. The great mystics say, Jamal, move from a knowledge of the tongue to a knowledge of the heart. Oh, the poor people, they are suffering from hunger. I must help them. Do I know what hunger is? It's sure, I'm a nice guy, but it's a knowledge of the tongue. When I fast, I begin to have a partial heart knowledge of what hunger really is. But even for me, at the end of the sunset, wonderful food is waiting. But there are hundreds and millions of people who have food insecurity. They're not sure food will be available anytime. So for Ramadan, you build empathy, you build compassion, which includes action. Plus the Quran says you build self-restraint. Anger. It's beautiful, especially if it is righteous anger against injustice, against oppression. But if I don't rein in the anger, it's going to consume me. Rumi says only when anger is bridled, reined in, only then can it serve. What do you do when you're angry and you continue to fester in that anger? That's the problem. It leads to a feeling of revenge. You do things you regret. Prophet Muhammad said, number one, and the Quran says this, when you're overly angry, you fester in it. Number one, lower your voice. Jamal, lower your voice. I spoke so loudly. Lower your voice. Rumi immediately goes into a trance, says, yes, lower your voice. Remember, it is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. And Prophet Muhammad said, second thing is, if you can, splash cold water on your face. It diminishes the fire. And number three, lie down on Mother Earth. Lower your voice, splash water on your face, lie down on Mother Earth. Self-restraint. You see, here's a big problem human beings have. We tend to overdo it. In fact, I keep talking about Taoism. There's a book called Tao Te Ching. It's a lovely little book. It's an incredible book, which has sold, they say, as many books as any holy book has sold. So hundreds of millions of copies have sold of Tao Te Ching, sayings of this philosophy of Taoism. There it says that the biggest problem human beings have is they don't know when to stop. They tend to overdo it. You're bending a bow, the arrow will go further and further, but keep on stretching, what happens? It breaks. Keep sharpening a knife, keep sharpening, it's sharper, keep on sharpening, it'll blunt and break. I'm talking and talking and talking till somebody starts to snore, only then I stop. I like the Zen saying, it's like overdoing it in Zen Buddhism. They say it's like drawing a snake, but you overdo it, Jamal. You continue. You draw little legs on the snake also. Knowing when to stop. Self-restraint. Ramadan teaches you that. Just be with that. I keep looking up. The time is passing very fast. I'll speak. Okay, so very quickly, what else can I say? Prayers. Prayers. By the way, have you seen Muslims pray? They prostrate. Where did Muhammad get the idea of saying, come on, do this, do this, do this? See, in the Quran, two mystical events of the Prophet are mentioned. One is, I just mentioned it, the night of destiny, night of power, it's the same one. There's another one called the night journey. Again, Muhammad was meditating, as he did very often, meditating, and he suddenly found himself being transported horizontally from Mecca to Jerusalem, and then heavenward, 7 levels of heaven, which validates, some say it initiates that idiom, I am in 7th heaven, all the way up. But what happened as Muhammad went to 7 levels of heaven? He was dazzled by the sight of what? Angels all around him. And all the angels were going like this, like this, like this, like this, like that, prostrating. And he began to listen, and he intuited they were praising God and thanking God. Then the Muhammad thought, wow, that's the essence of a prayer. So in Islamic prayer, if you're wondering what Muslims are mumbling, they're simply praising God and thanking God. And as the Prophet Muhammad advised, use the gift of your body to express this adoration. The Quran says, there's a verse in the Quran, bow in adoration and draw closer to God. So here's a story, a mullah story, the allegorical. By the way, I probably said it at least 4 or 5 times in this place here. So I said it has 7 levels of meaning. I still have 3 more for you to repeat for myself. So the mullah, remember it's allegorical, is in jail for life. Very upset. I am unjustly in jail for life. Now he becomes happy. Why is he happy? He has heard that his sheikh or teacher has permission to visit him. But why is he happy? Because he's sure. Because he's imprisoned unjustly, the sheikh will bring in a weapon or a key to escape. The sheikh or teacher comes, kisses him here, kisses him there. The mullah excitedly kisses him on both the cheeks. All the sheikh does was give him a lousy what? Prayer rug. Of course, he thanks him, but he doesn't mean that at all. The sheikh goes away, and the mullah is saying, big deal, a prayer rug. His need is to escape, not to pray. But he has time on his hand. He's in the prison for life. He lays on the prayer rug, reluctantly, Allahu Akbar, Allah, you're the greatest of the greatest, the most compassionate, I love you, etc. He bows, I submit my ego to you. And I submit my ego, he prostrates completely. He does this as a ritual. Not meaning a word that he says. But as the days and weeks go by, he suddenly realizes there is a design in the prayer rug. He looks closely, it's a design of an escape route from the prison. So just be with this story, the power of prayer. So when I show them, I tell my Buddhist friends, they say, yeah. For me as a Buddhist, it tells me the power of being mindful, not to be distracted by a regret of the past, anxiety with the future, to be in the now. When the mullah was in the now, he became freed. For Muslims, it's the power of finally the mullah surrendered to God. And the Quran says, what are you surrendering? And the Quran suggests you're surrendering your attachment to your ego, so that, as the Quran says, you can bring a heart turned in devotion to God. So when mullah surrendered his ego, he became freed. Christians and Hindus have told me, the ones who are bhakti, followers of the bhakti movement, they say it's really about devotion. You begin to devote yourself to God in every possible way. So I think of this Hindu bhakti statement which says, Jamal, keep the name of your Lord spinning in the midst of all your activities. Keep the name of your Lord spinning in the midst of all your activities. If you really do that, you're going to become enlightened. That's one of the main ways of becoming enlightened, besides the other ones, karma, jnana, etc. A Bedouin asked the Prophet Muhammad, oh, sweet Muhammad, said that Bedouin, all these rituals, legislation of the faith has become too complicated for me. Just give me one simple example, one simple spiritual practice I can do. Just one. Keep it simple. And Prophet Muhammad said, sure. But he said, this is what you do. Keep your tongue forever moistened with the name of Allah. Keep your tongue forever moistened with the name of Allah. So it's devotion. And it's quitting time, so maybe just one or two quick points. Be of service. You see, the Quran says, Jamal, if you want to give something, there's some gateways. Number one, give freely of what you love. That's real giving. Give to those who ask, those who cannot ask, don't ask. Give quietly if you can. Quietly. Don't make a show of it, if possible. Number 4 is very critical, because this is in all the traditions. Jamal, when you give without attachment to the fruits of what you are being of service. Meaning, don't give because it gives you power, it gives you fame, it gives you prestige. You give for the sake of God. In Hinduism, they say, oh, son of Kunti, oh, daughter of Kunti, make it an offering to me. In the Quran, do it for the sake of Allah. Simple as that. And now I promise the last one is, because it's critical, Ramadan is about something which we all, I hope, will focus on, building community, authentic community. Rumi says, please come out of the circle of time and enter the circle of love. The mystics say even prophets needed companions. How many of you here have heard of this Harvard study about happiness? Anybody? Oh, wonderful. But by now it's well over 80 years old. The longest study about what are the factors that contribute to happiness. And they found out not only happiness, also longevity they could predict. What was number 1? Your relationships. Jamal, do you have relationships in your life that doesn't have to be perfect, it's not even that good, but reliable? Number 1 factor for happiness, and they found they could even predict longevity. Relationship. Ramadan is a time of breaking your fast with family, with friends, with some people outside your tribe, with strangers, by connecting, by really sharing stories. This universe is made out of stories, not atoms. Connecting on a human level. Let me end by saying this. There's another study by Brigham Young University. By now it's 8 or 9 years study. Again, studying what makes people happy. What are the factors? Again, they were surprised. Number one, relationships in your life. By the way, and Sufis say this also means, critically, relationship with yourself. That's a whole different story. But number two in the Brigham, is how you pronounce it, Brigham Young University, number two was, Jamal, your happiness, your longevity in life also depends on your relationship with those you meet casually. The teller in the bank, the postman person, the grocery store clerk. The way you relate to those people are also factors in determining your happiness and your longevity in life. My friends, I've got to end with, I can't resist, but with a story. You've heard this, some of you heard this many times. It's about time. The mullah is in London Museum. He travels everywhere. In London Museum is a very famous professor, but a little conceited. And the professor says, this is 50,000 years old. Mullah says, excuse me, it's 50,004 years old. The guide is annoyed. This is 100,000 years old. Excuse me, 100,004 years old. Happens a third time. This is like, 300,000 years old. Excuse me, 300,004 years old. Now the guide is really annoyed. He says, sir, you have a turban, you have a beard. This tells me you're from the mysterious East. But how can you be so laser precise about these artifacts? Mullah said, it's simple, sir. I was here 4 years ago. At that time, you mentioned those dates. So what does this mean? The Quran says, be conscious of time. Be conscious of time. Time is precious. So this is all about, it's later than you think. Thank you, my friends. Thank you.
I'm doing a song change to fit the theme, so.
You're being flexible.
Let me be the love I want to receive, or let it flow through me abundantly. Let me be the love I want to receive, or let it flow as I breathe. Let me be the peace I want to receive, or let it flow through me abundantly. Let me be the peace I want to receive, or let it flow as I breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. Love in, love out. Let it flow till the world is full. I want to receive, oh, let it flow through me abundantly. Let me be the love I want to receive, oh, let it flow as I breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. Love in, love out. world is full. Oh, let me be the love. Let me be the love I want to receive. Oh, let it flow as I breathe.
Good morning, Unity. I'm Dorothy Bostetter. I am your board host today, and it's lovely to see all of you here in person and to be in person with you. And hello to all my virtual friends online. Thank you, Cindy. That was beautiful. One of the things that I truly love about Unity is just that, unity. And Imam Jamal, thank you. That was so moving and touching, and I loved how you so artfully brought in all of the faith traditions and how we're all connected. There is no separation. It is unity. And thank you also for the education about Ramadan. Very, very, very beautiful. This is the time in our service where we acknowledge the gratitude that we have for the abundance in our lives, and we recognize that as we give, as we receive, so we give, and as we give, so we receive. So it's a cycle of continued blessing. We bless our center with our spiritual gifts, and we bless the energy that brings those gifts to us. As you consider the gift that you make, there are ways to give are on the screen, and there's also a basket in the back. Hold that gift in your sacred heart, and please join me in our offering affirmation. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. If the ushers would please come up.
Let's pray. Let's raise our hands in blessing. Divine One, we are so grateful for these gifts that come from the heart, these gifts of tithes and love offerings. We bless them that they may multiply, that we might be about our mission, our vision, that more people might awaken to their spiritual nature and the world be transformed. We intend that we allow the love that we are as individuals and as a community to flow through these gifts, to be a blessing to one and all and to Unity of Bellevue. We are so grateful for those who have given of their time and talents and sacred service. We are so grateful, and so it is. Good morning. My name is Monica McDowell-Elvig. I'm your center administrator. We give you a welcome from the heart of Unity of Bellevue. If you are visiting with us for the first time, we have welcome packets for you to the left of the sanctuary doors as you exit. If you are visiting with us online for the first time, you can go to our I'm New page on our website, unityofbellevue.org, and request a welcome packet there. The best way to stay in touch with everything that happens here is to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter, and that sign-up form is on the bottom of every page on our website. We look forward to being in touch with you and to hearing from you. The prayer chaplains are here to pray with you. Susan Neidig will be offering a hybrid prayer circle in the library. The Zoom link for that is on our launch page on our website. You can also email them any prayer requests. There are prayer request forms in the seat backs that you can put by the south entrance door. Today, Unity of Bellevue is taking a hike. We have a number of people who are going to grab a lunch here and head out at about 12:15, 12:30. Brian is leading us on a local hike. If you are interested in participating in that in the future, let me know, or feel free to join them today if that's possible for you. And Lynn has a brief announcement.
Hi, I'm Lynn Haudenschild, and our mindfulness group is collecting clean socks for our local homeless, and any contribution that you could make would be greatly appreciated. There's a bin in the atrium. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn. This Wednesday online, I am giving a free Reiki talk. That starts at 6:30. If you would like to join, I invite you to register for that so I have an idea of how many is coming, but it is free and the Zoom link is posted on the launch page if anybody would like to join. We're going to talk about the possibility of starting a Reiki ministry here, and you'll get to experience a Reiki meditation. Easter is coming up. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some youth doing some events in the youth wing. And an Easter egg hunt, and also you can donate Easter lilies and other spring flowers if you would like. So look for that on the website and the newsletter. Casey Ryha will be our guest artist, and I'm realizing I skipped one announcement. Bingo night, that has been canceled or postponed, so we'll give you more information on that, but just to let you know that we will not be having the bingo night this Friday. The flowers today are lovely spring flowers, yes, by Linda? Yes. They are donated by Linda and Women Connect in honor of Jody Montague and her sister Julie Montague. You may have heard, she's a former minister at Unity in Bellingham, and there is a search for her. She went missing on a hike. There's a prayer vigil this afternoon, and it's been a couple of weeks already. So just prayers for her, and the flowers are given in honor of her family, her sister, who is connected to Unity of Bellevue, and our Unity of Bellingham family. We do want to give gratitude also. It's the fourth Sunday of the month. So any of you who have been given of your sacred service to Unity of Bellevue in this past month, would you stand, please? If you're online, we see you. All of the board members, platform assistants, building monitors, florists, all sorts of AV up there. Yes, awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. It takes a community to make a community go. And so we're so grateful for the heart of your service and your commitment to Unity of Bellevue. A big thank you again to Imam Jamal, our wonderful brother, Subi. And to Cindy, our beautiful sister, for great music. Next week, Reverend Denise will be back. She will be continuing her talk on the untethered soul, so look for that. And I am blanking on who is, Kat Beulah. Kat Beulah is the guest artist. We haven't seen her in a while, so it'll be fun to have her back. So we're going to close out with the peace song and the prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed week. Love to you all.
What would Jesus say? Love, what would Buddha say? Oh, Rumi says, see yourself in the mirror of me. Dr. King said, dream. Gandhi said, peace. The Tao says, you know the truth by looking inside. Inside. Love, oh, dream peace. Love, oh, dream peace. Love, oh, dream peace. Love, oh, dream peace. By looking inside. By looking inside. What would Jesus say in love? What would Buddha say? Oh, Rumi says, see yourself in the mirror of me. Dr. King said, dream. Gandhi said, peace. The Tao says, you know the truth by looking inside. Inside. Love, oh, dream peace. Love, oh, dream peace. Love, oh, dream peace. Love, oh, dream peace. By looking inside. By looking inside. By looking inside. By looking inside.